Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to show you how to do this pretty lace stitch. It's quite easy. It's a 4-row repeat, but it is easy and it's quite easy to remember once you've done it. It's got some simple chains and 3 clusters. It's quite simple to do, so I'm going to show you how to do this. The sample I'm going to use a weight 4 yarn. That's an Aran weight yarn. This one is a double knitting, that's a weight 3. So I'm going to use a thicker yarn and a 4mm hook just to see what the difference in the pattern is using a thicker yarn. So if you want, you just use the hook size it tells you for the yarn that you want to use to do this pattern. So the stitch count for this is 6 stitches. Do as many sets of 6 as you want and then add an extra 5 stitches to the end. So I'm using an Aran weight. This is a weight 4 yarn that I'm using. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. So I've done my sets of 6 stitches. Now I'm going to add an extra 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that doesn't take away from the stitch count of our chain. You're going to go into the 7th stitch in the chain. So count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 and 7. And into there you're going to do a UK treble crochet. This is a double crochet if you're in the USA. Now you're going to chain 1. You're going to skip 1 and do a treble crochet. Chain 1, skip 1 and treble crochet. You're going to do that all the way along to the end. Chain 1, skip 1 and treble crochet. So I've done this and I've got 2 stitches left. I'm going to chain 1, skip 1 and do a treble crochet in to my last stitch. Now that's round 1 done. That's round 1 finished. Round 2, you're going to chain 1, turn your work, and you're going to put a double crochet into each stitch along. If you're in the USA, that's a single crochet. So into the first stitch and put 1 into each stitch along. Don't go into the space of this, go into the chain 1 stitch. Just go into the chain 1 stitch all the way along to the end. Now at the end, once you've done 1 in this last treble crochet, you'll put 1 into the next 2 stitches. So round 2 is 1 double crochet, that's a single crochet in the USA, into each stitch. Into the stitches, not the spaces. I've put 1 into my last treble crochet. Now do you remember we skipped these 6 chain and went into the 7th stitch? The top 2 stitches of this chain we're going to put a double crochet. So 1 into that stitch and 1 into the next stitch. The other ones become your treble crochet and your chain 1. So that is row 2 done. Now row 3. You're going to chain 4. 1, 2, 3 and 4. That becomes 1 treble crochet and 1 chain. You're going to turn your work. Now into the very same stitch you're going to put 1 treble crochet. You're going to chain 2. 1, 2. So we're going to skip 2 and we're going to put a V-stitch into the next stitch. So that's 1 treble crochet. We're going to put 2 chain, 1, 2, and 1 treble crochet into that same stitch. You're going to chain 2, 1, 2, skip 2, 1, 2, and do a double crochet down here. Chain 2, 1, 2, skip 2, and do that V-stitch again. That's 1 treble crochet, 2 chain, and 1 treble crochet. 2 chain, 1, 2, skip 2, and do a double crochet down there. 2 chain, skip 2, and do a V-stitch. That's 1 treble crochet, chain 2, 1, 2, and 1 treble crochet into the same stitch. And this is a little pattern that you get. Chain 2, skip 2, double crochet, chain 2, skip 2, and V-stitch in the next one. 1 treble crochet, 2 chain, and 1 treble crochet into the same stitch. Chain 2, skip 2, and double crochet, chain 2, skip 2, and do your V-stitch. Do that along the length of your work. Chain 2, skip 2, double crochet. Now we're going to chain 2, we're going to skip 2, and into the end we're going to put 1 treble crochet, 1 chain, and 1 treble crochet at the end. At the beginning you had a chain of 4 and 1 treble crochet. That equals 1 treble crochet, 1 chain, and your other one. That's a little sort of shorter V-stitch there. So that's row 3 done. So row 4, you're going to chain 3, 1, 2, 3, and turn your work. Now that counts as a treble crochet. Now in the V-stitches we're going to put clusters. We're going to put sets of 3 treble crochets together. So in this first one we've got that one there, that counts as 1. Yarn over and into the V-stitch, into the chain space, pull through, yarn over and pull through, and keep that on your hook. Yarn over and in again and pull through. So you've got 3 loops. So we're going to bring these 3 together. Chain 1. Now into the same space we're going to do that cluster again. 3 treble crochets together. So that's 1. Keep it on your hook. That's 2. Keep it on your hook. And that one's 3. And keep it on your hook. Now we've got 4 loops this time. That's because we started with a loop and we've done 3 more stitches. When we were here we already had the chain, which was a stitch. Yarn over and pull through all of those loops. So we're going to skip the double crochet and go straight to the next V-stitch. We're going to build our 3 clusters. Into this one we're going to have 3 clusters. At the end on this one we've only got 2. But all these ones in the middle we're going to have 3 sets. So yarn over and into your chain space. So that's 1 treble. Keep it on your hook. 2 and 3. Bring them all together and chain 1. Now put another cluster in there. Another set of 3 treble crochets together. So that's 1. That's 2. and that one's 3. Yarn over and bring them all together and chain 1. Now do one more into there. It's 1, 2 and 3. Yarn over, bring them all together, chain 1 and move to the next V-stitch. You're going to put that triple cluster into each of these V-stitches, but at the end we're only going to do 2 at the end, and that keeps your pattern symmetrical. So I'll show you one more. So we're doing our 3 trebles together, 2 and 3, yarn over and come through them all and chain 1. Now put another cluster in there, 1, 2 and 3 together, went through all the loops, chain 1 and one more into that V-stitch, 1, 2 and 3, yarn over through them all, chain 1 and move to the next V-stitch. Do that all the way along until the last one you're only going to put 2 in there. So I'm at the last one. In the last one I'm going to put one cluster, chain 1 and just put one more in at the end. So at the end you'll only have 2 sets of your cluster of 3, and that's row 4 completed. Now we're going to go back to row 1. So we're going to chain 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, turn your work. So we're going to skip the chain, and into the top of this cluster we're going to put a treble crochet. We're going to chain 1 and we're going to skip 1 and put a treble cluster into the top of this cluster. Then you'll skip the chain 1 and put a treble crochet into the top of this cluster. Skip the chain 1, put a treble crochet into the cluster. So we're going to do, we've done 1, so I've done my chain 1 and I'm going to put a treble crochet into the top of this cluster. Chain 1, skip a stitch, so you're skipping the chain 1 stitch, and that's your cluster there. So you're going to put a treble crochet into the top of that cluster. Chain 1, oops, I put it into the wrong place. Make sure you don't put it into the chain 1 space. Into the treble, into the cluster. Chain 1, skip the chain space and put a treble crochet into that cluster all the way along. Chain 1, skip the chain space and into the cluster. So you'll be skipping the chain spaces. Chain 1, skip the chain space and put 1 into the cluster all the way along, and that's row 1 repeated. Then you're going to repeat row 2, row 3 and row 4. Then you'll repeat row 1, row 2, row 3 and row 4 until you have this amount of work. And this is what your work will look like. So after you redo row 1, rewind the video and do row 2, which is the double crochet row or single crochet if you're in the USA. Row 3 is the V-stitch row, and row 4 is those 3 clusters. Now you can see the difference when you use a thicker yarn. This is a thicker yarn, this is a double knitting, and this is an Aran yarn. You get a much bigger cluster, but it's still pretty. It's lovely for doing cardigans, sweaters, little tops over your t-shirt for the summertime, scarves, you can even do hats with it. You can do covers to go over your cushions. There's lots and lots of ideas with this. So give it a try and experiment with different yarns and different size hooks and see what you get. So thank you very much for watching. Please subscribe to the channel, and if you click on the bell icon, YouTube will tell you when I put up another tutorial. So until the next time, happy crafting, and I'll see you all again soon. Goodbye.